I lost consciousness with 2% battery. No one answered. No one called back. And in that moment, I realized something I had been avoiding my entire life. No one was coming to save me. So, I decided to become the man who could. The truth is, that night didn't start the collapse. It started years earlier, when I slowly traded purpose for survival. I used to wake up with fire. Now I was waking up just in time to be late. I scrolled too much. I chased dopamine. I drank my goals into silence and buried my ambition under distractions. I kept saying I'd change when things settled down, but things never settled. They just eroded. Until one night, I got up to plug in my phone. 2% battery. Then everything went black. I woke up to monitors beeping, oxygen in my nose, lights flickering overhead. A nurse said, "You're lucky to be here." But I didn't feel lucky. I felt like a ghost, stuck in a body I'd neglected for too long. Internal bleeding, severe exhaustion. A body that had been warning me for years finally gave out. And before they put me under for surgery, I recorded something. I'm scared. If I don't make it. No, I love you all. I never meant for anyone to hear that, but now I'm glad I have it. Because it reminds me who I used to be and why I'll never go back. I spent the next week in that hospital bed. No distractions, no noise, just silence and a broken body trying to heal. And that's when the real war started. Because healing your body is one thing, but facing who you became while no one was watching, that's another beast. I wrote in my journal, how did I get here? Who was I becoming? Would I have been proud of this version of me if it ended here? The answer was no. I was surviving, but I wasn't living. I was functioning, but I wasn't focused. I had let myself become a man I wouldn't follow, and I knew I couldn't leave this world like that. Something had to change. A man named Mr. Thompson was mopping the hallway outside my room one night. I couldn't sleep. He nodded toward my journal and said, "You still writing?" I said, "Trying." He handed me something, an envelope. It was a piece of paper I must have dropped, a goal list, scribbled, messy, but mine. At the bottom it said, "Become the man you were supposed to be before the world distracted you." He just smiled and said, "You've still got time, but not forever. People are watching, even if you don't know it yet." That moment stuck with me. He didn't know my story, but he reminded me maybe I wasn't finished yet. Maybe the collapse wasn't the end. Maybe it was construction. When I got home, I promised myself I would change everything. And for the first week, I did. I woke up early, worked out, journaled, said no to the old habits. But by week 2, I relapsed. One late night, one drink, one scroll session that turned into 4 wasted hours, and suddenly I felt like a fraud again. But here's the truth. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about recommitment. Rebuilding isn't a straight line. It's falling 100 times and still getting up on the 101st. That night, I looked in the mirror and said, "We're not quitting again." And that was the real beginning. Truth is, that hospital collapse wasn't my first. The first one happened years earlier. Not with sirens, not with blood. It was quieter than that. It was the night I skipped the gym just once. The week I stopped journaling. The month I started scrolling more than thinking. The season I ghosted friends who called out my excuses. No breakdown, no crash. Just a slow fading from the man I said I wanted to become. I told myself it was temporary, but temporary becomes permanent if you're not careful. That was the real collapse, not the hospital. That was just the invoice. Don't wait for the dramatic wake-up call. Wake yourself up now, with structure, with silence, with honesty. Collapse doesn't always look like a stretcher. Sometimes it looks like a man who doesn't recognize his own reflection. There's something I lost during those years of drift that I'll never get back. And no, I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about trust. There was someone in my life, a woman, who believed in the best version of me. She saw it even when I didn't. She waited, supported, spoke truth to me when I didn't want to hear it. And I told her, again and again, I'm working on it. I'll change soon. But I never followed through, not long enough for her to believe it. Eventually, she left. Not in anger, just in silence. And I don't blame her. She didn't leave the man I was. She left the man I refused to become. Some losses teach you more than success ever will, and that one did. So stop wasting chances. Don't let the next good thing leave your life just because you're still thinking about changing. Start building now. If you're still watching this, I want to say something real. You're not weak, you're not broken, you're patterned, and patterns can be rewritten. That's what rewired reality is about. It's not about perfection, it's about quiet, consistent construction. It's about building the identity of a man who can't be shaken even when no one's clapping. You're not the only one rebuilding. Right now, somewhere in the world, there's a man waking up at 5 a.m. to face himself in the mirror. A man putting the bottle down for the first time. A man tracking habits in a dollar store notebook, hoping something finally sticks. That man, he's your brother. We're a tribe of men who got tired of lying to ourselves. We don't wait. We build. We don't coast. We confront. If you failed 100 times, you belong here, because rebuilders don't fear failure. We just refuse to quit on the 101st. If you're still here, I need you to comment one thing. What's one thing you're rebuilding right now? Put it in writing. Start the process. And subscribe if you're done waiting for someone else to fix it. This is Rewired Reality. We don't chase hype, we build discipline. We don't beg for change, we become it. No one's coming to save you, so become the man who could. There's a moment no one talks about on the journey back, the part where the applause stops. The motivation fades, the people cheering though quiet, and all you're left with is you. No music, no likes, no validation, just a man and his mirror. This is where most people quit, not because it's loud, but because it's too quiet. Because in the silence, you hear every excuse you ever made. You hear the voice that says, you'll never change. You hear the doubt whisper, this time isn't different. And if you don't fight back, if you don't replace that noise with purpose, it will swallow you. So here's what I've learned. When it gets quiet, lean in. When the noise fades, build habits. When no one claps, clap for yourself. Because the silence doesn't mean you're off track. It means the world is waiting to see if you're serious this time. Prove that you are. Not with a shout, not with a post, but with 6 a.m. mornings, with unshared wins, with a life that speaks so loud it needs no caption. Keep building in the silence, because eventually, silence turns into legacy. I still remember the morning everything shifted. It wasn't a dramatic moment, no confetti, no spotlight, just a quiet sunrise. But for the first time in years, I felt proud of the man staring back at me, because he wasn't waiting anymore. He wasn't blaming the world. He had traded self-pity for self-mastery. He wasn't perfect, but he was aligned with his purpose, with the hard truth, with the uncomfortable discipline that changes lives. And in that moment, I realized this isn't a comeback story. This is the story of a man who finally showed up for himself. And if you're still watching, maybe that man is you. So don't just be inspired, be different, be ready, be him. Start today, even if it's quiet, because your quiet rebuild might just become someone else's rescue.